Hi, everyone. I just want to talk a little bit about Module 3. It's all about growth and fixed mindset. When I first learned about growth and fixed mindset, I started paying a lot of attention to it. I think that it's been quite transformative for me in my teaching. Um, One thing that I'd highly recommend is if you haven't read it yet, there's a book by Joe Bowler called Mathematical Mindsets. It's fantastic. I'm going to put the link in this window, and I will also put a link to her YouTube channel and her UCubed channel, her UCubed website. Her YouTube channel has all of the growth mindset videos from her Stanford course, which I had the pleasure of taking. And it was fantastic learning. Her UCubed website is packed with teaching resources, which helps with growth mindset conversation in class. I think that a lot of people in their posts made fantastic comments on metacognition and how important it is for students to start thinking about their own learning. I think that we, as teachers, need to prioritize metacognition over jam-packing content. I think the content needs to come in as a subset, but the learning and why we're learning and how we're learning and the fact that we can learn has to be primary. I think that what I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you a few resources that help me in my classroom bring in a lot of growth mindset. So bear with me for a second. That's me and Joe Bowler. I had the great experience of attending a conference that she ran. Fantastic speaker. This is the book that I was talking about. Again, I'll put the link underneath this. So this is the first website I want to show you. It's wodb.ca, and it stands for Which One Doesn't Belong. The idea is that we have a whole bunch of images, and we need to pick one and ask our students which one doesn't belong. This really goes to heart about divergent thinking and what we value in our class. I mentioned in one of the posts that I made to reply to someone that we really have to start valuing divergent thinking as opposed to the mathematical answer. So if a student says, this one here doesn't belong because it opens up, that's not the end of the conversation. Traditionally, that would have been the end because that might be an answer that I'm looking for and I'd be happy with that. But in my classroom, we value divergent thinking. I want to see how many different opinions we can get about this picture. So somebody might say, this one here has no intercepts. This one here only has one intercept. This one here has no arrows. That's a great starting point, which students might think are silly. But if your class is comfortable with saying whatever answer they can come up with, then you can start talking about domain and range, which is huge. Like it's a giant concept that we have to tackle in grade 11. So that's one example, which one doesn't belong.ca. Here's another one. It's called visual patterns. And the idea is that we can ask, how do you see each pattern growing? Or how do you see each image growing? And then we can say, what's the rule? And how can we figure out how many white tiles there are in step number 43? Okay. When we do something like that, it forces students to think abstractly, and it forces students to think about tying the image number to the actual picture itself, image number to the picture itself, which I don't know if you saw my video last night, and it was about how students often think additively, and having images tied to image numbers forces students to think multiplicatively, because it's really hard to see by how many this pattern grows, but it's going to get easier and easier for students to tie the image number to the number of white dots. Okay. And you might think the students have trouble relating this, but here's an example from my class. This is what one student said. They said that this image number matches with the sides, and then the top and the bottom seem to be two more than the image number. Here's another student that saw it the other way. So the top and the bottom match the image number. Here's a student that saw it another way. All the sides match the image number, but then we have the corners to add on. Here's another one. We have the image number squared, so 2 squared, that we're going to take away, but we have 2 more than the image number that we're going to start with. So we're going to start with the whole square, and then we're going to take away the middle. There's another one that I never expected to see, but it's always 1 more than the image number, and it's tied like that. And this is all students thinking. Like they all have it in their minds, so we just have to give them the forum to explore it, and we have to not accept the first answer. We have to value divergent thinking. I think that this will help you. It is all of the resources that I've compiled which encourage reasoning and divergent thinking. So my blog is engagethinking.wordpress.com. And if you click on resources, this is what you'll come up with. So you can see that which one doesn't belong, and visual patterns are my favorites, but there are lots and lots that you can explore. Okay, this is a bank that I've been keeping myself for when I get back into the classroom so that I can use. And the reason why I bring them up now is there'll be lots of places for me to bring them up in the course. There'll be lots of times for me to bring them up in the course, but the reason why I bring them up now is because I think that for us to be able to practice growth mindset, we have to be able to pose questions that encourage divergent thinking so that we can start valuing creativity, and so that we can start valuing effort. There's very little for me to praise a student about. If I ask x plus 3 is equal to 7, what's the value of x? There's very little space for me to encourage and praise effort, because there's one thing that students need to do. But if we ask the right questions, if we ask questions that are open and that encourage students to think and to ponder and to wonder and to use their curiosity and to push the boundaries of what they know, I think that we can do a better job as a system in promoting and teaching growth mindset. All right. Thank you very much. And we'll talk again in Module 4.